Hello, I am Pastor LaJuan Washington, and this is my wife Charlotte. And today we'll be talking about relationships. And of course, there are all different types of relationships, from your family, friends, and even co-workers.
So we invited a few members of Center of Ministry and just family and friends to take a personality test and kind of discuss some of our results. We use the MBTI personality test, and that test identifies about 16 different personality types, but there are several other personality tests out there that you can use. We found that learning about each other's personality types was a good way to kind of better understand some of the reasons why the people we are in relationships act the way that they act. You know, sometimes we think it's for one reason or another, but a lot of times it's just because that's who they are. So take a look. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna just continue the conversation we were having, since we know, like we started before with the ESTJs, since we had more of them, and now that we've kind of gone through and read basically the traits, strengths, and the weaknesses, then we just can keep talking about I guess what we learned from it and how knowing these things are effective, because that's really the point we really want to get across, is that when you're dealing with, say, ministry, you're dealing with several personalities, you're dealing with people. And people, we all have different personalities. We all the way we are for different reasons. And to me, before you can really love anyone or embrace anyone, you got to be able to love and embrace yourself. And in order to love and embrace yourself, you need to know yourself. And so spending time getting to learn about you is very important. It's very important, foundationally speaking, when it comes to spirituality and even developing a relationship with God, because we're all a part of God. And, so to get to know who He is to get to know who you are. So we value this particular personality test. There are several out there. We discussed some about astrology as well. So I like to start with the ESTJs. A lot of the notes we took with the ESTJ, the focus of the ESTJ, or the title for the ESTJ, was the Guardian. And we had 3 guardians in this group. Some of the highlights we pulled out from ESTJ was that they're focused externally. Their primary focus was external. Their secondary focus was internal. They're very factual type of people. They live in the present. They're systematic. They like to see quick results. They take charge kind of people. They're natural leaders. It says they're kind of critical, but they express themselves without reserve. They value security and social order, and they're very proactive people. Their traits, again, are natural leaders. They're loyal, they're hardworking, athletic, they're organizational, and they're thorough. And then their weaknesses are that they think they're always right, they're always in charge, and they're kind of impatient. So again, we had 3 of those personalities among us.
But you forgot wholesome.
Out of everything,
Wholesome has to be there.
he picked wholesome out of that whole package of paper. No other word mattered. Wholesome. Y'all forgot wholesome.
Wholesome was one of the traits. So the ESTJs in this group are Leotis and Tina and Tony. So we have to let y'all speak about the ESTJs, what the paper had to say about you, what you feel about it, and how you feel like these kind of things, knowing that this is part of your personality, how does it kind of affect you in your daily lives? And not only that, I don't put him on the spot. We'll start with Leotis because he wanted to focus on wholesome.
Talk about wholesome. Let's go ahead and break it down.
Well, that was just a little joke. My wife, we got little inside jokes, but wholesome. She wouldn't use that, when she described me. So, part of it, but yeah.
Just saying.
But the take charge aspect, I think is true. We just talked about professions or change professions. I think yesterday, and I told her, I said, well, I got to be in charge. If I don't feel like I'm in charge, then I feel like things doesn't get done the way they should, But to be a good leader, you also have to be a good follower. I mean, I don't mind starting at one point, and but I feel like I'm gonna work my way up to the top of it. So, but reading about being too rigid, that kind of hit home with me, especially with my kids. That being in break type of situation, I'm not always probably as compassionate as the way I probably should be with them. I'm especially with my son, and I think that brings a divide in our relationship, being rigid.
Do you think knowing this about, or I say having that put in your face from this personality test, I know we just took it, it's hard to say whether or not it'll be life-changing or life-transforming or anything like that, but does it cause you to even think about, well, maybe that's something I could work on?
Right. I'm gonna be honest. The first thing that came to my mind was weakness. I'm gonna just be honest. If I was brought up in a situation where you're a man, you got to be strong, and it was this. We played sports our whole life, so it was basically a warrior type mentality that was inbred into all of us. So when I first saw not being rigid, and I'm thinking about, well, I need to be a little softer, weakness was the first thing that came to my mind. Instead of, just being in touch with my feelings with my kids, weakness came into play. So I know it's something that I need to work on.
And I did pick up on the word athletic, that was one of the, that was actually, and like you said we were brought up athletic and brought up in sports and things like that, and that's a good thing. But then on the other side, where we were saying that environment does play a part in who you are and how you were raised, who you were raised with, and those kind of things. But at the same time, everybody didn't say athletic. I know mine is like, but it just so happened that you were brought up in that type of environment, and that's we can get into it a little more, but that's just one of the things that's and it's we'll probably understand the reason why I'm even thinking this when we talk a little bit more about the sciences, but because sometimes I will kind of go in there, but I was just thinking how that's amazing, considering how spirituality is about energy and the energy of the universe and how it comes together, just about destiny and all of that that's pre-created or predetermined for you, and how those energies of the STJ personality came in with the parents who raised you to be athletic. You know what I'm saying? I was saying all that while you was talking. I was somewhere else.
You were breaking it down.
But now that we've taken this personality test, y'all will be like, why in the world did she go there? It said on the paper, that's the way I'm supposed to be. Well, your lab.
I mean, it's in there, and a lot of it made me go back to how we were brought up.
Right.
It really did, because my dad is the same way. He doesn't show emotion. He's very rigid. We always knew he loved us by the things that he did, the time he took out with us, but as far as him saying, I love you, that was far and in between.
Right.
Our mother, and right now that's probably the reason why we're all probably more closer to our mother than our father.
And I mean, with this, and again, I'll say it, with the personality and the zodiac for me, my kids are the one that made me reach out and research because of that. Because I'm like that too. I'm rigid. I'm not emotional at all. So in order to deal with them, I had to figure out what am I dealing with.
Right.
So that's
But do you take your emotions? I'm emotional, but it's all internal. I'm not gonna show it.
Yeah.
And if I am showing it, I mean it's to where I can't control it anymore.
Right.
Like for me, I don't try to hide my emotions. They're really not there until I get to a point where it's something that reaches home. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm not an emotional person. Like you may say something to me that hurts my feelings, you know, I'm not gonna be overly emotional about it. You have some people who are. So that's when I use the word emotional, because I'm not. Like my kids may fall and roll down the hill and break their leg. I'm not finna go running down after them hollering and screaming.
All right, get on up there.
Right.
Shake it off. What's wrong?
But looking at the type of people that my kids are, some people need that.
Right.
So you have to adjust.
And our personality test kind of revealed that you were an ISTJ. And even in what you were just saying, you know, some of the things that we saw about the ISTJ kind of would explain some of that, I don't want to say lack of emotion, but what did they call it?
Well, I don't know, but that's them.
Because you too, Nikki, was an ISTJ. And I believe, I can't remember what it was we were talking about when you said something about, do I hurt people's feelings?
Oh yeah, I tend to have the
Not in tune.
not in tune with other people's feelings. So, and I was like, okay, do I hurt people's feelings? But then we were kind of discussing and we kind of went, well, no, it's not that you hurt people's feelings. It's just that you just kind of, not that you don't care, but you just kind of like, oh, okay.
It's not being
I'm just going to go ahead
Yeah,
and
I'm not-
say what I got to
Right,
say.
not
And if you just
What's
got
your-
there,
Static you
sorry.
hear when you're on 92.4.
It's like,
So when you get the 3, you hear the music. You're on 92.4. When it comes to
When
emotion.
it comes to
Emotions.
Exactly.
I can be that, yeah.
Exactly.
It took this test to put me in that little, because I spoke with somebody from in my past from junior high school, and she was like, girl, you was just so mean, and I was just so scared to talk to you, and I'm like, I'm not mean. I'm not mean. I'm not. I didn't think I was. And she hurt my feelings. So it was like when I got off the phone with her and I went, I mean, I didn't think I was mean. And he was like, no, you're not mean. You just don't have the patience for a lot of stuff or people. And, you know.
I think that comes from the word that we see a lot with is introverted.
Right.
And we are not the first to run out and be the first at the party or have a girls' night out with a bunch of females. I mean, it's not that we're mean, we just have other things going on. I can speak on that because that's how I am. But I was looking at it, and I don't know if this is on everybody's paper or not, and we didn't touch on it, but the actual functional preference ordering. And it's basically how do you feel when you're most dominant and how you feel when you're most inferior, where you spend that time. And I was looking at it and it said on the dominant part of it, you feel more comfortable when you're introverted with your senses, basically within yourself. And the most inferior is extroverted intuition, basically dealing with other people's expectations and other people, what they, depending on them. Because I have a problem with depending on other people's actions. I feel comfortable with mine. I know what I'm going to do. I just don't know what you're going to do. So I feel inferior giving you my power to accomplish something that my hand's not in.
Right.
I have a problem with that. Even with my kids. I will clean my kitchen. I will vacuum my floors.
Control it.
I'm just.
That's what you said.
Basically, it sounds like controlling.
Very much so. In my environment. I won't try to control your environment.
Right.
But in my environment, I am very much so the authority figure.
Right. That's what we said at the table, because I was like, no, I'm not mean. And he was, And then I was like, bruh, I'm mean for real? And he was like, no, you're not mean. You just controlling. You just straight. But I am. I own up to that because my house.
But it works, and that's something that I had to grasp within the last couple of years for myself. Is that can't nobody be me being me.
Right.
I can't be you. I can't be you. I have to be me. So if I'm controlling, dominant, mean, so be it.
It's not so bad. Those are things that you need to work on. I just say knowing the problem is half the battle. It's not a problem, and I'm just kidding because it's really not a problem. It takes different kind of people to make the world go round. So, but we do at the same time. And I have to take it back to spirituality because that's what the focus of the ministry is, and Tom is about being mindful of one another. Even though we do need to get to know ourselves and love ourselves, it's really not all about ourselves because ultimately we're all here to serve one another. So we all focused on the fact that I just am what I am. That's the way I'm gonna be. It's kind of just serving, of others. And not to say you're always thinking of others. Again, you got to know yourself and love yourself. But I say this even about me. I know a lot of times I say the type of people who have a hard time saying no. I don't have a hard time saying no because I would rather tell you no than to tell you yes and then don't do it. So it's that kind of thing. And when you know that about yourself and you can own that about yourself, then you can function with people better and they can appreciate you for your authenticity because you are you know who you are. Miss Tina.
Yes.
I'm gonna put you on the spot because we hadn't heard from you very much. I did find it kind of interesting, when you were, because I was kind of watching you when you were reading about yourself. You was like, I don't like that. I just kind of want to know kind of what was going through your mind while you were reading.
The overview of it, I identified with a lot of it, especially the part related to taking charge. And I always struggle with that because I feel like in a relationship, the man's supposed to lead and supposed to take charge. So I struggle with, okay, how do I let him take charge but make it work the way I want it to work?
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Control.
It does make sense. It's not controlling.
It's not. Because to me, relationships are partnerships. And I understand. I mean, back in the day, I think it was more so, you sit back, be quiet, and the man runs the house.
Right.
But I mean, we're kind of like in the new century. I mean,
Absolutely.
we're both working. We're both trying to raise kids, and it's very difficult. And he may do things one way, and I may see something, and I'm like, okay. Do I say something? Do I change it? Do I just, So that's my struggle, and that's what I kind of. That's like a constant battle for me all the time, especially when it comes to the kids and stuff. Because, I try to let him kind of take charge, and I'm like, hey. But then I'm like, okay, wait a minute, this is getting out of control. Something needs to happen.
Exactly.
Because they can run your life.
Right.
You can take over and run your life.
Right. You're not paying close enough attention.
Yeah.
But again, though, that's why I said too, this personality thing is interesting. I know when I have to say when I don't observe y'all a whole lot. It's just the little time that we do get together though. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure Tina and Leota's gonna be totally on the opposite end of the spectrum. And then, but when I saw the results, you guys were the same, basically personality. And so when you're saying about the take charge, I think, that's a good thing and it does work. I'm just kind of listening to you about the relationship thing, as I think that's very common. I think a lot of women have that same feeling because I know I was too. We were raised, because it depends on what age you are or whatever, but I know the era I was raised in, that was it. The man is the man of the house. That's he take charge. And I'm sure a bunch of men that's watching probably saying, amen.
Change.
Things have changed.
Things have
I don't
changed.
think they have changed.
I don't think things
It's been the
have
same.
changed.
Yeah.
And the reason why I said it is, a lot of women allow them or make the man, because women are good at, let's stroke our ego, make us feel good, make us feel like we really leading the house, but without that woman, she's
Right,
the glue that's really
right,
keeping
right.
that whole household together.
And-
Even back in the day, if she didn't work, if he worked, the house still ran.
Yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
And she may do with whatever he brought home, it didn't matter what it was, she may do with it, regardless.
And for me, I know they say, okay, for the man or whatever, he's supposed to take charge or whatever, but I appreciate the fact of her input. Because a lot of times, there are situations that I may not be sure about or whatever. And I need to bounce something off you. I need your opinion. How do you see it? Because a lot of times, as a man, you may not know which direction you're gonna go in. But once you sit down and you talk to your spouse or whoever you may have, it helps you make a better decision because then you got another point of view that's really helpful.
That just comes in time. We've been together, what, 20 years? Been married 15, so it just, it started out both fine, because I'm not gonna back down, she's not gonna back down.
Right, right.
All
Yeah.
the time.
Did you ever wonder why that was?
No, I don't think we ever really kind of delve into it
I
that.
think that was probably attraction though.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think
Right.
it was, yeah.
I
Because
can
it is
imagine
neat
would.
looking in the mirror sometimes. It's like, are you
And
like me?
I think
Yeah, yeah.
but it just, fire for our personality, but our passion is both the same. It's fire. It's good,
Right.
So it's pros and cons.
Y'all heard that right?
Right. It's a relationship. Yeah, it's a relationship.
Well, I know as far as the relationships go, and I know LaJuan and I have been married, next weekend?
Next Thursday.
26 years.
Yeah.
And together 27, so we didn't really know each other very well. I thought we did at the time, because when you
We both thought we did because we were young.
right, when you're 17 and 19, you know all
You know everything. You know it all.
Can't nobody tell you nothing. So that's just kind of how it was. So we've been together for a long time. So it's taken a lot of getting to know each other. And our birthdays happen to be on the same day. And that was one of the things, one of the attractions. I was like, oh, see, I love Capricorns. You know? Our birthday? Oh, you must be the bomb.
Yeah.
But as time progresses, like that's not so cute. I really don't like the fact that we decided.
Yeah, she wanted her own birthday. That was her baby. I want my own birthday. Yeah, we got our birthdays together, anniversary together. She ain't got her own day.
It's like,
Except for Mother's Day, I guess.
it's like I got to share everything with you. But I will say though, it did not come without a lot of struggle and a lot of, butting heads and things like that. And I guess a lot of the similarities might have been the reason for the fact that we were butting heads. But at the same time, with all the similarities we had, there was still significant differences. Which of course, the way we were raised had a lot to do with it. I think in our environment had a lot to do with it. But when I looked into this personality test, and I say especially for LaJuan, because towards the end, I'm gonna tell you now, it's like we were just like, it was like fire. It was hot in here all the time. like, you know what, you on my nerves. But, when we stopped, and I guess because, again, the similarities, the fact that we're both, rational thinkers, it's like, calm down, let's find out what the problem is. And didn't really know where to look. But, I actually stumbled up on this test at work, and when I read it, I was like, oh, really, is that me? And then, I brought it home and shared it with my entire family, as a matter of fact, with the kids and ourselves and everything. It was just very enlightening. And it's not to use it, it's not an excuse for being any way or another. But, like I said, it's good to know yourself and to get a little understanding about who you are, maybe why you're the way you are. and the differences in here with us. He a lot of times, and I'll just be open and say he says I'm disconnected. You know, and what are you talking about disconnected? You got to be crazy. And then I hear it from somebody else. I think you don't give a damn about nothing. It's like, why all y'all think I don't care? I was like, y'all are crazy.
Right.
Crazy, you crazy.
It's y'all.
What is wrong with y'all people? And then I read and I'm like, that's what they talking about. Okay. And so now, but I say, now it's, you know what? Okay, when I hear it now, oh, you must not care. And it really does in my day-to-day, even at work, you know, because I have direct reports. So other people, you know, have to report to me and they talk to me and they have to come to me for stuff. So I have to be mindful of the fact that I have a disconnected personality. And so when they come in, I literally think, okay, let's watch yourself, you know, try not to be disconnected. And I'm gonna tell you now, as hard as I try,
Right.
it's just you. No, really, I can really be mindful of it and say, okay, I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna be politically correct and I'm gonna say this the right way. And it's like, okay, as hard as I try to say this the right way, how y'all still gonna say Miss Charlotte don't care?
And what is your type?
I am an INTJ, and it was the scientist, and more, I guess, more focused on trying to get an understanding of the world around me. So it's like the emotional stuff, emotional things just don't really get to me. It's like it's more about the theoretical things and the
bottom line.
It's the bottom line, right? It's like, okay, I understand this happened and that happened and that happened. That's all well and fine, but
What are you saying?
you know, yada, what is it? And so that's how, you know, that's basically how I'm wired. So I do care, and you know, I do, and I love ministry, and I love serving others because I think it's something that we need to do. But I think sometimes, okay, is that's not an emotional thing. It's a sense of responsibility kind of thing, and it's like, okay, that's again taking on responsibility to do something, and we're not gonna do it. If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right, you know.
My way.
Because even with our feeding the homeless and all, you know, it's like, okay, this need to be in pans. They need to be lined up. we got to make sure if we're gonna do this, it's got to be done right, you know. And so, you know.
And I think too that is the importance of self-assessment. Period.
It really
Because
is.
again, like I said, with these, you know, words on paper, that's what they are. Someone could sit up and read about you, but unless they deal with you on a day-to-day basis, they really don't know who you are. So it's like with me and Kanika being the duty fulfiller. When I saw the header, I can see that. I am. Because I'm going to get the job done if I'm given a job. And with Charlotte being a scientist, I see that because I deal with her. And I see how she can pick things apart,
She's
put them
very
back together in a lab.
She is.
And I see
But she's gonna make sure.
I see Lawan being intuitive, and he goes by emotions and how he feels about something. I've seen the passion in him, even when he goes to look for cars and Charlotte shoots it down. I mean, really. So it's like, but I am so interested in getting to know people for that reason. If nothing else, just to know the different types of people in the world. And that's really what I've set to do in the last, I'll say 6-7 years. Just observing people. Kids, adults. I get along so well with old people. They have so much history. I'm interested in stuff like that. Where did we come from? What happened here? You know, just stuff like that. And to know that I'm that type of person, and then to meet somebody who is supposedly that type of person, it helps. Because I've dealt with people who are totally opposite from me.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know what is wrong with them. I had to figure out there's nothing wrong with them. They just don't fit with me.
Right.
So I had to learn that in dealing with people too. And that's why I think it's so important. Even with the, like I said, personal assessments, the Zodiac, people say they don't believe in it, and it's not a belief.
Right,
It's just
that's right.
something that you read up on, and you can gather information and come up with an idea of who a person is or what you can actually get along with in life. So, I mean, that's the way I see it, personally. I think it's good stuff.
I like it because it is a self-assessment. It does show me. Because a lot of times, whenever, and one of my issues is I always see that, okay, it might be Charlotte's fault. Whatever I'm dealing with, it might be Charlotte's fault for whatever. And this helps me say, wait a minute, hold on. Look at yourself before you look at anybody else around you or whatever, and just see what I may have done or I could have done to maybe help or even hurt that situation. Just want to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So, and this also helps me because there are times when I can have what I would call a bad day. I'm just not flowing. I'm not in my flow that day or whatever. But this lets me know that when certain things happen, if I have, because I'm a very emotional person, just because I am try to be more in tune with my spirit, if something emotional happens with somebody that's close to me, my day doesn't go well. If me and Charlotte, we leave for the day and we don't kiss each other and say I love you because we don't have an argument or whatever, that day ain't gonna start out right. I can try to get over that or whatever, but I have to, the only way my day starts going better is I stop whatever I'm doing.
Fix your problem.
I gotta fix that. I fix that issue, then everything else is fine. I'm not stressed, I'm not mad at the world or whatever. But I know for me, I gotta make sure I fix that situation because if I don't function. While she might function, I can't function like that. I gotta make sure I'm in my flow.
It never ceases to amaze me how many people that I run across that just do not know who they are or why things happen the way they happen to them or for them. They just are clueless about life, period, some of them. And I'm like, well, I could be in a room with somebody and pretty much pick up on their vibes or whatever and pretty much tell, okay, well, this wild stuff, yeah, this is it. And I'm like, I don't know why you don't know, but this is it.
Right.
So, I mean, but just talking with people though, just opened up my eyes to a lot of different things other than the box that I grew up in, because I grew up in a box.
Yeah.
And I did not know, me personally, till I got grown or older, that people really do not operate the same that I do. I was like, I did not know that it was just people that did not think like I thought. You think totally different from me. And I didn't realize that. And that's just like a confession.
Yeah, my husband and I have that conversation on a regular basis. Like, he'll go, I'm like, what? Because when somebody does something, and if it does not make sense to me, I'm like, what in the world? Like, what
was you
rational
thinking?
person? Like, babe, everybody, the rational level or reality or how people process things or do things aren't the same.
Right.
Everybody's different, you know? And it's kind of hard, especially in your mind when you know something to be the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I started saying this.
Right, it is.
I started saying this, that to me, common sense is not so common.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
We have that discussion too. Common sense versus book sense
Yes.
and street sense and just all of it just don't
Yeah,
go
basically,
together.
common sense
They
is not.
butt
It
heads
is
bad.
not at all. It's a learned behavior. It's just based on how you grew up,
Right.
what your background is, what's your history. Because whatever happened in your past, that's the determining factor on how you make your decisions.
It's true.
Right.
Either I'm gonna do it or I'm not.
You are or you're not. So when we see people doing things that are very irrational, very crazy or whatever, what goes back in my mind is, where did that come from? Psychologically, where did that come from? For you to, I know we had talked about a guy running out of Walmart with a TV. Okay, what happened to you?
What made you think that you were Superman on that day the whole
and run out of Walmart? What made you think that's
you
right?
up and you think that you can handle that?
So those things are just truly important, and that's kind of what goes through my head, because whenever I see somebody do something from my kids doing stuff as they were young or whatever. I learned now, since they did the personality test as well, why they did that, because that's how they process things. So, and I also look at things on people that I don't even know, whether it was a murder and a shooting or whatever the case or whatever. It ain't just crazy. It's a reason how you got to that process in your head that was right. So I think that's real important to really understand where they're coming from.
It is. That's good talk. So, Nikki. No, it's just, like I said, I appreciate everybody that's among us anyway. But these personality tests and seeing it now, to some of y'all that I don't talk to as much, well, I say with the way I think, I already have a preconceived expectation now. You know what I'm saying? I'll say that. And the reason I said Nikki, before I started saying what I said, is because of the dutifulness. You know, me and LaJuan, we were talking all the time. It's like, okay, Nikki gonna be on it. I don't care. You know, I don't know about nobody else, but Nikki gonna be on it. And so seeing that dutiful aspect with you, I mean, you know, I was like, well, that's pretty cool. It was on point.
It is.
It was on point. And I still think that it's interesting. I know a lot of us in the room are Capricorn, some Capricorn, Aquarius, and Scorpio. But and that even to me is kind of interesting that, you know, because like people are drawn. Like I said, it's different energies, different things that draw people together in whatever way, for whatever reasons. Of course, opposites attract as well. But even with our differences with this particular personality, a lot of us have other similarities that are the same. And you know, we're talking about this little small group right here, but that's how it spreads. It spreads abroad, and it all is the same thing. So that's what we just want to leave, encouraging everybody to. Not just this group, but everybody that can hear what it is that I'm saying, to make sure that you get to know yourself, and don't be afraid to see yourself. A lot of people who need people around them all the time is because they won't still themselves to get to know themselves, because they may not necessarily like what it is that they find out about themselves. And I just encourage everybody, you know, like it or not, learn who you are, embrace who you are, and at the same time, to build that relationship, and I mean relationship with God, with your source, because that's where we all come from. That's where we all going back to. So knowing is half the battle, and then knowing and embracing what I'm saying, half the battle, because it's life. I know for some people they might not say life is hard, but life is a trip. That's what it is. Life is a trip. It's a trip and a journey, and the different things that we face, the different situations we're in. You know, I would say don't take it all at face value. You know, try to see what it really is. You know, and then that'll help us kind of love each other better. So understand that. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say before we wrap this up?
Did anybody find out something new? Like,
well, I know one thing that kind of, okay, maybe I am emotional just a little bit because that hurt my feelings too. But anyway, I read something that said, so it said that I don't give enough credit, basically, or show the love to my loved ones. So, and that was something that I know I need to work on, because, you know, I do have young kids coming up. I got one getting ready to turn 16. I got a 14-year-old, got a 7-year-old. So I need to go ahead and look into that part of myself, because I grew up like that. I didn't get that kind of stuff. So it was like that. I know how it feels to not get that love at the house. So it's like, maybe I need to do something different because, of course, I don't raise my kids the way I was raised. You know, I don't abandon them or make them feel like they're abandoned in my mind because I'm doing something different than how I came up. But at the same time, now I see that maybe I need to give them a little more credit verbally and show them, because I know they know I love them because I'm always smooching and hugging on them. But other than that, you know, I don't say it, I'm proud of you, you did good, or whatever. Maybe I need to say that just a little bit more, you know, because, you know, like I said, I have a 60-year-old that's getting ready to do this and wants to do this and honors this and da-da-da. Maybe I need to start saying it a little bit more, okay, yeah, good grades, blah, blah, blah. Just talk to them more. So I need to compensate more and give a little more credit where credit is due. So.
You said learning something new. For me, when I look at mine, I and do something or whatever, but I'm not really looking at the other side on how they may perceive that action that I did. So for me, knowing about my weaknesses or whatever, it says one of them is extreme dislike or conflict, extreme dislike of conflict and criticism. That's me. So it just teaches me that sometimes I need to, instead of reacting, I need to sit back, understand, see what's going on, and then react instead of just being very impulsive, because I can be emotional. So I need to either get to my quiet place, or what I call my God time or whatever, before I react to a certain situation or whatever, because I may react of something that really ain't that big of a deal.
When I looked at my weaknesses, it was like, it kind of hit me in the face a little bit, but I already knew it. I found out in my late 20s and early 30s that people really didn't care for my, because they say boisterous and brash and all that in there. A lot of people didn't care for it, and I really didn't realize it until my wife told me. She was like, you really know at the job, they really don't like you. You know? And I was like, I'm like, what you mean they don't like? They don't like you. You know everything, you gotta be right. And I'm like, really? I mean, he'd be like in the face, but you know, like I said, we were brought up to the point to where
be your business.
Yeah, like she said, he didn't ever say, "We proud of you" or this. That was expected.
Right.
It was expected to have good grades. You was expected to win. That was the standard.
Yeah.
Right.
Here, point blank. You know.
Right.
You know. So, and that's the way I acted. You know. I was the oldest. I felt like I was always in charge. I was the leader. And I brought that into the workplace. I felt like I worked from the bottom to the, to a management position.
Right.
And the people that were that reported to me felt a certain way towards me. And I always thought it because we were equal at one point, and now not. But I actually had to go back because my management style now is a lot different. I cater to my guys, my team, basically, because if you don't take care of them, they're not going to take care of you.
Yes.
Right. Makes sense. Makes sense.
And I guess new for me, not new, but something like, I think you spoke before about on your subject of not being connected or disconnected, how you would hear it and you're like, whatever. But when you read it, because it was the part on the weakness where it said, may inadvertently hurt others with insensitive language. And I mean, I know sometimes when I say things in my mind, and that's my daughter always says that to him. It's Mama, it's the way you say it. I mean, it's the way, and I don't know how else to say it other than truthfully. But when I think about it and I read it, that's, I need to work more on that, because I don't want to come across as being insensitive or rude or trying to hurt your feelings just because I'm passionate about not liking something that you're doing or the way you're doing it. Maybe I need to be more mindful of how I speak, especially to those that I love and care about. So that was a little bit
more mindful.
Yeah.
You are hurt. So y'all got the same weakness.
I hope you listen to that.
No.
I'm more mindful.
See, he's more mindful. I'm more. And it's just gonna come out, and then I go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry, but I don't say it to the right people. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I need this reading this. It did highlight a lot of my weaknesses that I knew. Well, I'm starting to know that I have, and it was just like, okay, maybe it's not that bad. But then, reading this, and now I'm starting to get some honest opinions. Because, the people that love you, they just gonna be like, I don't care because I love it anyway. It don't really matter to me. I'm gonna look over it. But then when you think about it, it's like new people and other people, and that's how they see me. Oh, I didn't know that. So I didn't know don't break up church. Yeah. And I guess that really is, since you did bring it up, I guess that's the reason, because people did see that. They see those were my weaknesses when I'm thinking, oh, I'm fine, I don't have no weaknesses. You can't touch me. And they just in here poking me. And they waiting on me to react. And I'm wondering why so many people just steady poking me. And I'm like, why you messing with me? And now I see why. So, I get it. So maybe I need to, no, not maybe. I know I need to work on a couple things. So, yeah.